I hope everyone is good on this fine morning here in Drogheda. It is nice that there's actually no clouds in the sky that I can see. It's a bit cool though, but our summer is definitely over. The heat has been put on a few times over the last week, but look, it's one of those things. We had a fantastic summer. We can't complain. It's all good. Um, so I suppose just to let you know that next week we won't be having a coffee morning. Unfortunately, I'm not around, but we're kind of trying to make this one as good a one as possible so that it makes up for not being around next week. Um, Again, I want to thank those of you who sent in your questions. Some of them are quite heart wrenching, I suppose, is the word to say. And, I suppose I want to give a shout out to everyone who supported these pods and videos, because it's you're putting your heart out there. You're putting the important things that are going on for you out there, and just looking for those little changes. And it shows how good parents you are all to actually be looking to try and make that little change at home so that life is better for everybody. And I think it takes a lot to put your hand up and say, I need a bit of help. And it's something that, society as a whole doesn't allow us, or doesn't um, promote us kind of being okay with being vulnerable. When in actual fact, if we need some help, if we go and get it or look for it, things get better. It's that simple. So if you need help, or if you need a little bit of support, it doesn't have to be anything massive. It can be something small. Go and ask for it. Go and look for it. So I really appreciate people sending in their questions, opening up their heart around issues that are really kind of strong for them, and upsetting in a lot of cases. So today's is going to be an interesting one. I'm sporting my Pearl Jam mug all the way from Croatia, I think this one came from. One of those days where you just need your coffee. Today's one of those days where I just need my coffee. So, first question. My sister passed away from cancer recently, and my 10-year-old son was really close to her. He's been so strong the whole way through this tough time for the family, but I'm worried he's bottling up his feelings to protect all of us. Have you any suggestions to get him to open up? Now, that's such a, I suppose it's a sad, difficult time for your whole family, and you have my sympathies for your loss. It's never easy to lose someone, and probably somebody who's quite young. So that's the first part. So you're dealing with your own grief, and you're upset with that whole situation, and then you're worried about your son who's also struggling a bit. Maybe not outwardly, maybe inwardly. Maybe he's just trying to process it. So sometimes we're all different, right? So sometimes what we'll find is some kids or adults will just go into, a fully emotional state, and they'll let you know, they'll cry, they'll be upset, and they'll let you see that, they're struggling with whatever the situation is. Others, maybe less so, you might see a little bit of tears, and then there's those kids that will not say anything. And like you said, with your son, try and protect everybody else and make sure everybody else is okay. And, maybe he's caring, maybe he's a strong type of person, but as you say, he needs to be able to process and get out what's going on for him. The big thing I would say is that don't try and sit him down and have a face to face and, tell him that, tell me how you're feeling, because he may not know. He may be just going through a process right now of trying to get his thoughts together and his feelings together, and trying to understand how he actually is going to deal with the loss of his aunt, who he was close to. So the first thing I'd say is, unless he's open to sitting down and having a conversation with you, maybe don't push it. Maybe it's okay to let him sit for a little while and process it. But there are things that you can do to support him through it, right? One of the things, and anyone who watches these videos regularly will know that I come up, or I support the idea of getting a notebook where he can write down what's going on for him, and maybe you can reply and write down what's going on for you, so that you guys together can go through this process of grieving and get to grips with things without overwhelming him, but saying to him that, look, if you want to write how things are from a day-to-day basis, because that then will help him to process what's actually going on for him. So sometimes it's not the word that he's going to put on the page. It's, in terms of letting you know, what's important is him going through the process of putting those words on the page and getting it out of his head, and helping him to put some structure and understanding of what's going on for him. So give him a notebook and let him write down what's going on for Mark, what he's doing on a daily basis. Because what he might find is that by writing it down, he might go, well, today I was pretty upset in school because I was thinking about my aunt, and that allows him to say those things without having to say it face to face, because he if he's trying to protect you and everybody else right now, he's going to continue to try and protect you. And one of the ways he'll do that is by not getting into how he's feeling necessarily. Now, the chances are you're probably going to see a change in his behaviour if he's bottling it up, where he might one day just have a meltdown over something small, and that's okay. So for you, it's about being able to understand that, okay, this is what's probably going on for him right now. So let him work through it, and then we'll deal with it. And then, yeah, kind of just check in with them. When you're doing something random, if you're in the car, if you're cooking some dinner together, if you're playing a board game, just ask him how he's doing, and don't be afraid to say, yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because I'm sure it is really tough for you. But sometimes, maybe depending on his age, he's 10. Maybe if he's artistic, maybe get him to do a picture, anything like that. But don't do it from a perspective of, you need to do this in order to get this out. That's not what it's about. It's about letting him have the flexibility and freedom to deal with this himself, but by giving him the different tools to be able to get it out as well. Some kids might just need a punch bag to be able to go and punch it all out. Okay, I hope that helps. And again, sorry for your loss. It's such a sad, hard thing for people. So my thoughts are with you and your family. Okay, next up. We were having a fun chat with our children and who their favourite parent was. And my youngest daughter said, it's 60% daddy and 40% mummy, because daddy is more fun. It was a light-hearted conversation, but it got me thinking about how I'm usually the bad cop in the house. And I know it's mainly because I'm around the kids more than my husband. How can my husband take more of a role in discipline in the house? So I'm sure there are probably tons of you out there going, yep, I totally get that. That's exactly the way it is in our house. And look, there is always going to be that understanding that, yes, when you are around the children more, you are going to have to discipline them more. You are going to be the bad cop more, but you're probably the good cop a lot more than you think you are as well, where you're having fun times with them as well, where you're not even thinking about it. So, I suppose it's about, and I get the impression from what you're saying, that it's not something that you are losing sleep over or completely overwhelmed by, but there will be those times where everyone's busy, everyone's tired, everyone's run down or whatever, and things get that little bit harder. So if you can kind of put structures in place right now so that he understands how you feel about certain things. And it's not about trying to get the 50-50 back. It's about just trying to get him to take that little bit more discipline, a bit of a role in the disciplining of your children. So I suppose the first thing you have to do is settle with yourself that it is okay that you are the bad cop more often, is because you are there more often. You have to deal with the behaviours more often. But maybe you can sit down and have a conversation with him around how he might, when he's there, take on more of a role as a disciplinarian. So what a lot of people might find is that even when it comes to the weekend, it's fun daddy at the weekend because he's been at work all day, and that mum is still the one that has to jump in and deal with the little things or deal with frustrations or whatever it might be. So it's a two-pronged attack. Maybe together what you do is you sit down and decide, okay, well, come the weekend, I'm going to take that little bit more of a backward step when it comes to dealing with issues, because it'll help to keep you calmer, for one, and then it allows him the flexibility to step up, because the other side of it is sometimes we're not sure where our boundaries lie as parents, because we about this is what's okay and this is not, this is what's not okay. When it comes to the small things, we'll talk about the okay and the not okay with the big things, but it's the small things that sometimes, well, always in my experience, small things all add up to make the bigger frustrations. So what I'd say to you is sit down, have the conversation with them and say, okay, when it comes to the weekend, I'm going to step back a bit, which will allow you to step up and not just be fun daddy. And these are the things that we need to be dealing with at the weekends or the evenings, whatever it might be. And it's not about going over the top. He doesn't have to do a show of force where he's kind of going, that's it, spilt milk, everyone's grounded for the next 3 weeks. It's about going, I suppose it's going to help you both, look at what are the consequences that you're going to put in place. So you have them planned beforehand. What are the behaviors that you want to change? Because there's no point in saying, right, we have to change everything, because it sounds like your family life is actually doing pretty much okay. So what you may just need is that the little tweaks, so that pick 2 or 3 things that you find frustrating when it comes to the weekend that he doesn't step up to, because maybe he doesn't find them frustrating, and talk about why they frustrate you and how they build on top of everything else, and then say, right, well, what are we going to do about it? So if our kids do X, this is the consequence that we're going to put in place, so everybody's on the same page as best as possible. And there's always still going to be times where that doesn't work out and you will get frustrated, and maybe he'll get frustrated and maybe the kids will get frustrated. But at the same time, you're starting to work together and communicate as parents, because a lot of the time we don't necessarily communicate as parents. We just deal with things in the moment and we react to things. But if we can sit down and plan things, well, then that's going to make things much easier for everybody, so that everyone is aware of what the same page is and what the consequences are. So hopefully that will help. If it's not working, do come back to me and we can look at other suggestions. Drop me an email, and like I say to everybody, this is about trying to empower families. It's not about anything else. So I'm always open to emailing and chatting with people. There's no problem with that whatsoever. So do come back to me. Okay, so we got the last one for today. I'm expecting my second child and I'm 21 years of age. While I'm happy and excited about the new baby, I'm worried that life is passing me by and I'm putting my potential career on hold, and by the time my kids are old enough for me to go to work, I won't be employable. What can I do to keep my career open? There's probably lots of parents out there going, oh my God, feeling old at 21, it's such a strange thing. But for this person, it's real. It's a real feeling that they're experiencing, and it's something that they're living at the moment. So they obviously have one child already, and they've got the second child coming on the way. What I'd say to you is, in the big scheme of things, and it's not to be patronising, but you are really young. So you've been on working age for 4 or 5 years. That's assuming you start work at 16. So you've been on working age for 5 years. You literally have another 40 something odd years of work ahead of you. And I don't mean that in a kind of a scary way, but I mean it in a kind of a potential way. You've got so much potential to create whatever it is. So at your age, you literally can do anything you want to do. Something's going to be a lot of hard work and slightly out of your reach, but it doesn't mean you can't work towards it. So what are you interested in? So if at the moment what I'm getting from what your question is that maybe you're a stay-at-home parent, or maybe you have a part-time job, is that filling your heart? Does that seem like a career that you might want to do for a while? Because the other thing I'd say is, we don't all have to do careers for the rest of our lives. We don't just have to pick one thing and keep doing it forever. Thankfully, those days are changing, and we're starting to realise that we have so much more potential and we can do so much more. And sometimes we love things at a certain time and we don't love them afterwards, and that's okay, right? So what I'd say to you is, look at what are the things right now that actually really interest you, that actually fill your heart with excitement when you think about doing them. And if there's nothing, maybe you could look at exploring things, go to classes. There are tons. Like, one of the greatest things the internet has done for us is to bring courses into our home that we don't necessarily need to go out if we can't get the time to go and study or to do or to see if we just are interested. So we're not signing up for a 3 or a 4 year degree, that we can try something out and see, does it actually interest us. Then maybe look at, if you're not working in the area, get that bit of a training and then look at volunteering if you have the time in that area. But it doesn't mean that you can't the process of learning. So just because you're off, and yet having small kids is busy. It is so busy. But can you put half an hour aside each day, or every second day, or every third day, whatever is going to work for you, where you can do something for you? It's going to be not only important for you in the future, but it's going to be important for your kids to see that, mum is just as important and her interests are just as important as being a parent is. Because that's essential for our kids to learn that it's their dreams and to follow their heart and do what they might want to do. So keep your foot in or keep your hand in and look at what are the things that might interest you, and you have the time. Because in some ways, when you hit 30, which probably seems old to you right now, for those of us quite a bit older than 30, it doesn't seem that old. But for when you hit 30, it's going to be, you still have your whole life ahead of you again to do something that you're interested in. Your kids will be older, you will have that bit more time because they'll be in school, they'll have activities to take part in, so you might have that opportunity to create the job that you want. Just because you're not doing it, it doesn't mean that you can't do it. So just because you're not getting employed to do it because you're busy looking after your kids, doesn't mean that you're not employable. You can create the life around you. So look what you're interested in and spend a bit of time all the time, because then what you're doing is you're building up your bank of experience so that you can put it on your CV and say, okay, I was a stay-at-home mum or I worked part-time, but these are the things that I've done. So I've got the qualifications, I've done the voluntary work, whatever it might be. And when you come out to start looking for a full-time job, maybe you're in a much stronger position. So I hope that helps. Okay, guys, just a reminder, we have no episode 31 will be in 2 weeks, so we've nothing next week. I hope you all have a lovely couple of weeks. Take care of yourselves, and I will chat to you then. See you.